One of the statistics that strikes me, and I practice in the other Georgia, deals with those 47 other judicial districts where there are only 9 African Americans serving, and if you exclude Albany and Savannah and Augusta, then you're out. There are no African American judges. Matter of fact, I serve in a judicial area that's never had an African American above a part-time magistrate. That's significant. That's significant. And so, in a place where we're at the high water mark of black achievement, not just in Atlanta, but across the board, African American in the White House, African American Attorney General, African American U.S. Attorney, that is not truly filtered down to the state. And of course, that's going to cause problems if this is the high water mark. But the NAACP feels very strongly that this is the work that we must take up. Not just only because of the things they've talked about, but the application of the law is important as well. So this is just this panel generally is made up of, some of us who have done this over the course of several years, and there's always someone from the Republican side. So it doesn't matter what color the color of the judge's skin is. And to a certain extent, that's right, because there are studies that I look at all the time who say that the quality of justice, even when there's a black judge sitting on the bench, is not all of that impressive. But that's the study. This is an important conversation that we've got to have, and it's not just the color of the person's skin, but the background that they come from, the kind of experiences that they bring to the bench, and all of that is important. And it's an important conversation for me to be engaged in as someone who practices outside of this area. The studies suggest that the quality of justice, I mean, you still have a criminal justice system which is unfair and biased against African Americans. And so that may not be a statement about the judges themselves rather than a reflection of the overall system. So I want to be careful about that. I do think the race of judges is important, primarily because for nearly 2/3 of this country's existence, race in the law mattered. And even in this last portion of our history as a country, although not in the law, it still matters tremendously. And so the color of a person's skin is the greatest indicator on all studies as to whether a person will be pulled over or not. If you are pulled over or not, whether you be given a citation or taken to jail. If you're taken to jail, the color of a person's skin is the best indicator of whether you be given a bond, and that bond be a reasonable bond. Whether you be tried as an adult or a juvenile is still the best indicator of whether you be given the death penalty of whatever crime you're charged with. Warrants the same. It's across the system. In every metric, race matters. And so I think it does matter in terms of there are courtrooms I go in my general practice in Southeast Georgia where I am the only African American in the entire courtroom, period. Not just and I appreciate Judge Moore's statements about that, from the clerk's office to the bailiffs to just everyone. And I think that does send a signal as to the measure of the quality of our judicial system to those who have to interact with it. Now, let me tell you something. You all have some black judges here in the Atlanta area who are no better than the white judges they are colleagues with. And so on one hand, I want to say that and be very clear about that. It makes no difference if you put people in judicial positions or elected positions who simply play by the same rules of the game. You're going to get the same outcomes. You have to have people who have the mindset, and the judge spoke about this, to come in and make fundamental changes in the way justice is administered. So I want to be clear about something. We get reports about the kind of unfair sentencing, the kind of abuse of lawyers and litigants and participants in the system from the NAACP, and they are about par with some black judges who don't understand what their role really needs to be in the Metro Atlanta area, and for those who are outside trying to hang on and not get a challenge in their weak candidacy. So we have a tremendous problem in the kinds of folks who are making it on the bench too. So that's got to be talked about. It's not just the composition of melanin in one's skin, it's the mindset of the people who are sitting on some of these benches, black or white.